Hello friends, so we are here with the first of the lab sessions in this NPTEL course on employment communication, a lab based course. Today we have for you lecture 10 and I have titled it practice session 0 because even 0 has a beginning, 0 has a meaning and 0 is the actual beginning. So, we have this first lab session from module 1, the first lab session practice session 0 lecture 10 is based on module 1 which is course introduction and verbal communication. So, in this first module we had 5 lectures, 5 units and we introduced you to the course and especially the idea of verbal communication. But basically if we go into details, we had covered 3 main areas in the first module, course introduction and verbal communication. That is number 1, communication and introduction, and number 2, communication skills at the workplace, and number 3, verbal communication. So, when we talk about communication and introduction and verbal communication, today we have for you 3 activities and here is the first activity. This activity is titled From the Jaws of Death. And the situation is like this. This will be a role play by 6 students and there are 5 guests and one is the mukhya of the village. So, let us say the situation is in details like this, that there are 5 guests at a village marriage party and they suddenly fall ill, they are taken ill. So, they are transported to the only doctor in the area and she quickly and correctly diagnoses the problem as severe food poisoning. The point is that they will all die in the next 25 minutes unless they are given a shot of beta X, a specific medicine. Unfortunately, the doctor has only 4 vials with him and only 4 lives therefore can be saved. The more sad part is the nearest town is too far away to get help, you can't go anywhere else. So, you have 5 lives to be saved and you have 4 vials of beta X which can save their lives because they are victims of severe food poisoning. So, here in this role play we have 5 participants of the MHRM first year Humanities and Social Sciences department who are the village elders and they are going to discuss and decide in the next 10 minutes which of the 5 should be left to die and the mukhya will conduct the discussion. So, before we move to the role play and show you a recording of the same, here is a description of the 5 who are caught in the jaws of death. The first one, A, is Mr. Premanand Bhandari, aged 48. By profile, he is a village teacher and he has taught about half of the village including your own children. He is a cancer victim, cancer patient and the doctors have given him 6 to 9 months to live, that is all of his life left. He has the responsibility of 4 unmarried daughters and the eldest is getting married next week. The point is, should we have compassion for him, should we have some more reserved sympathy for him and try to save him, or should we move on to consider the situation or the case of B, Miss Pushpa Sagar. Miss Pushpa Sagar is 29 years old and by profession she is a nurse at the government hospital about 30 km away from this village. Most of the patients find her rather lazy and indifferent. She has an illegitimate child and that is a girl child who has just started going to school. So, maybe let us say the age is 4, 5 something like that, 4, 5 years. No one knows who the girl's father is. So, think over it, the participants who are doing the role play, 5 villagers and the mukhya, and let us see when we have the discussion on, let us see whether we have to make a choice of Miss Pushpa Sagar to be saved, given her picture, given her verbal picture, given her description. Would we like to save her or shall we come to the third person who is a victim of severe food poisoning, that is C, Deepa Behan. Deepa Behan is 31 years old and she has been a widow for the last 5 years. She has no issues, no children. She had been driven out by her late husband's family and she lives all by herself now. She is extremely popular in the entire village, because instead of indulging in self-pity, she goes around and helps each and everyone who is in need. She regularly visits people who are old and sick and cheers them up. So, here we have a personality who is self-made, who is strong, who is not a victim of circumstances, who does not consider himself or herself to be a victim of fate or destiny or kismat, as we normally call it in the Hindi heartland of this nation. So, let us see whether we decide to save her during the role play or let her die. Let us come to the characterization of D, Peter. As you know, by the name Peter, he is a Westerner, but nobody knows any much more about him, not even his surname. So, only Peter. By the by, he is a white foreigner and he is renting somewhere. So, he has told his host that he was from the America, US. His age may be approx 35 and he was passing through the village currently. He has been collecting certain herbs in the village and the forest around. Some say that he is doing research on herbal medicine. Of course, you know that these are just rumors and some people say that he is a spy. But one thing is a fact, that he always carries a camera with him. Now, given the shady, not much known, hidden character of this person D, Peter, as a person who is listening to the story from the instructor, would you like to save Peter or shall we let him die, and choose the fifth person, E, Anand Tiwari, aged 52 years. Anand Tiwari has a special herbal preparation that is very effective against snake bite, and this is his forte, this is his strength, he has made it himself. He is well known in the area because he has saved scores of lives in and around this village who would possibly have died of snake bite had he not been present and used his herbal preparation to save those bitten by the snakes. The point is that he has not yet passed on this formula to anyone. He may not be the copyright holder of this formula, but the point is that the most important point is, rather I would say, that he has not given the secret of preparation for this special herbal medicine against a snake bite to anyone else in the village. Next, his wife and 3 children left him after he raped their maid servant about 10 years ago, and thereafter in fact nobody likes him. The village puts up with him only because of his single usefulness. His only utility to the villagers is that he has this herbal preparation and that is very effective against a snake bite. Snake bites are a common occurrence in rural areas of India as such. Then we have the 6th role play participant, and that is M. M is the Mukhya of the village, Panchayat. Mukhya will conduct the discussion, and this is a group discussion. This is a discussion to decide which of the 5 patients or which of the 5 end of life patients should be left to die, because 5 are suffering from severe food poisoning, and within the next 25 minutes if they are not given the formula or the medicine Vita X, they will die. So, the role of the Mukhya is very important. He has to make sure that the discussion gets over within the next 10 minutes, and within the 10 minutes also, number 2, a clear decision should be taken within 10 minutes about which 4 to save and which one to left to die. So, the Mukhya has no time to lose. He must be a very good meeting manager, and he would certainly not want all the 5 of the patients or the villagers who are in fact suffering from severe food poisoning to die, while the discussion goes on and on about who should be allowed to die. So, here we have the 6 participants performing the group discussion on the topic from the jaws of death.
So we all, you all 5 are here. You know the importance of this meeting. So let's not waste any time and directly start from A. Why do we want to save Mr. Premanand Bhandari?
Actually, I want to save Premanand Bhandari because he has been responsible for a quite long time, and he has taught a lot of people in the villages. So means he is a person who has taken the responsibility of the teaching in whole across the village from a quite long time. So now the society should come forward to help him, because he is having 4 daughters, and as well as one daughter is going to get married right now. So if means the daughters will not be given any kind of help from the society, so in future maybe no one will come forward for the society work. Like the teacher is a very good responsibility which is taken by any individuals.
Okay.
So
Okay, that's pretty much B.
So I speak on behalf of Ms. Pushpa Sagar. She is just 29 years old, so she has her entire life in front of her. That is the first reason. She is a nurse at the government hospital that is nearby. Although some patients might find her lazy and indifferent, but at the end of the day, she is a nurse and she is doing something for the society. She is giving back. And now, an illegitimate child is definitely looked down upon in a village scenario, but a child is a child. It doesn't matter whether it is illegitimate or not. So, keeping in mind the future of the girl child who has just started school, she must be around 5 years old. I think that Ms. Pushpa Sagar should be saved.
Fine. Deepa Behan.
Okay, I think the reason behind the reason why Deepa Behan should be saved is because everybody knows that she is a very good human being and she helps people around and she cheers them up when they are old and sick. So I think everybody, every village or every place needs a people who are very positive and good. So I think this is the reason why she should be saved.
Yes, okay, fine. So now, Anupam, why do you want to save Peter?
Yeah, Peter, he is a US national and he arrived India with authentic passport and visa, I say. So if some people have doubt that he doesn't have any authentic identity, but he definitely have some authentic identity, and if we kill them and if we not allowed to return his home, then obviously it will be bad. It will bring a bad effect on the international relationship, or so we should also treat about the matter.
But Anupam, we are not sure if he is really from US or not, because we are not sure about his identity. No one actually knows him in the village. Anyhow, we will come to it later. Let's start with Anand Tiwari.
Yes, so Anand Tiwari saves a pretty good number of scores here. It's written that saved scores of lives in and around this village. So, and that formula is unknown to others. So, yeah, he raped their maid servant about 10 years ago, but I think it will be his correct punishment that he will be alive and save some lives, so he will give something back to the society.
Okay, fine. So, Premanand Bhandari, who has already lived 48 years, he is a village teacher, and anyhow he is suffering from cancer. So, that is a terminal disease again. So, why do you think, anyhow we are going to lose him, maybe we are going to lose him?
Yes, we are going to
Actually,
lose him
I
in
think
9 months, so I think it's better to
because there is
save the
responsibility of 4
others.
daughters, because as I know that every individual is not able to take care of their own child. Maybe there is 4 daughters, so that's why who will take care of those 4? After means this 9 months which he is having right now, maybe he can make some plan for their daughters for getting married, or maybe property, something he will take care of that property to their daughters. So this kind of work can be done in the next 9 months.
Yeah,
But
But
unlike other villages,
One at a time.
Unlike other villages, we in our village we have a good relationship with every family, and it's quite like a bigger family, you can say. So even if he is alive or not, our mukhya is here and all we people are here, so we can help and we can make all the ceremony to go well.
And
Also, death doesn't stop life. So even if he's gone, I think they anyway have to live their lives by themselves. So
So something,
And
And
someone
by
as
should
what
be
you
there.
said, I think he was already aware that he would pass away after a couple of months, like 9 months after some time. So
Yes.
he must have already made the preparations beforehand.
Yes.
This was
Yeah,
just a
I
situation.
think you're
yeah.
saying right. I think.
And by saving him, we will lose like 2 lives in next 6 to 9 months.
Yes, that's what
According to the
that
situation, if you guys are saying like this, so I think we should consider someone else. I think.
But
who
still,
can
you
be-
should get a fair. But he should get a fair trial. Anupam, do you have any big reason to save Peter? Because he doesn't have a proper identity at all. We don't know who he is, and he can be a spy who can be detrimental to the society. He carries a camera around.
Maybe, and even we don't have the time to judge it. Otherwise, we can connect the local police personnel so that we can make it well and make it confirm that he has an authentic identity or not. But I was saying this, that it would affect the international relationship, and later the foreigners may get afraid to come.
But
I-
all of that, if at all, he is an US citizen. Because see, Miss Pushpa Sagar, she is 29. She has an illegitimate girl child who needs to be raised. So she needs to be saved anyhow. Deepa Behan, who is very popular in the society and visits the old and sick and cheers them up, so she also needs to be saved. And so is Anand Tiwari, who is 52, but he is the only one who can save lives from snake bites, and that is pretty common in the villages. So we need to save him as well. So I think we are stuck with Peter and Premanand Bhandari. So I don't think we have a legitimate reason to save Peter at all now.
Okay, in that
Because-
case, if all the villagers and we, they're
And
they're
one
trying
is also
to
there by-
save Premanand Bhandari, and from another side, I can say that if while some people are saying that Peter is a spy, and if originally he is a spy, if it is, then the theory of Anand Tiwari will be really at stake because he had a secret theory. So that's an important point that I table.
But all of that is fine. But even if he is a spy or he is someone who is in research of herbal medicine, we are not sure about that also. So his identity is totally like not known to anyone.
So if all the villagers come consensus, then we can
So,
go for giving the priority of our villagers first.
Yes. So let's take a maybe we can take a vote
Yes,
whom you want to like let die. So I will start with you.
Premanand Bhandari.
You. Premanand Bhandari, obviously. Yes. Then
yeah, Premanand Bhandari.
I'll say Premanand Bhandari too.
you. How about Ali?
Peter.
Peter. Even I would have also opted for Peter, but since majority is going for Premanand Bhandari, so we will conclude that we will conclude here that we will let Premanand Bhandari die and other 4 leave, because that will be what is beneficial to the society at large. That's it.
So now we will go to the second activity, and this activity is based on a lecture we have had, communication skills at the workplace. In fact, I will be distributing to you essay on a title which is The Cow. You will be surprised to know that this has been taken from the civil services, rather Indian civil services performer, and this essay has been successful.
On the life and times of a successful quadruped. The cow is a successful animal. Also, he is quadruped, and because he is female, he give milk, but will do so when he is God child. He is same like God, sacred to Hindus and useful to man, but he has got 4 legs together. 2 are forward and 2 are afterwards. His whole body can be utilized for use. More so the milk. What can it do? Various ghee, butter, cream, curd, whey and the condensed milk and so forth. Also, he is useful to cobbler, watermans and mankind's generally. His motion is slow only because he is of acetudinous species. Also, his other motion is much useful to trees, plants as well as making flat cakes in hand and drying in sun. Cow is the only animal that extracts his feeding after eating. Then, Afterward, she chew with his teeth, whom are situated in the inside of the mouth. He is incessantly in the meadows on the grass. His only attacking and defending organ is the horn, specially so when he is got child. This is done by knowing his head, whereby he causes the weapons to be paralleled to the ground of the earth and instantly proceed with great velocity forwards. He has got tail also, but not like similar animals. It has hairs on the other end of the other side. This is done to frighten away the flies which alight on his cohoa body, whereupon he gives hit with it. The palms of his feet are soft unto the touch, so the grasses' heads would not get crushed. At night time have poses by giving down on the ground, and he shouts his eyes like his relatives. The horse does not do so. This is the cow.
Hello, my name is Rajoshi Tribedi and I have tried to correct the English of this piece. Let us begin. The cow is a successful animal. It is quadruped, and because she is a female, she gives milk when she has a calf. She is like God, sacred to the Hindus and useful to man. She has got 4 legs together, 2 in the front and 2 at the back. Her whole body can be utilized for use, most so for the milk. What can it do? It is used to make ghee, butter, cream, curd, whey, condensed milk, and so on and so forth. Also, she is useful to the cobbler, waterman, and mankind in general. Her motion is slow only because she is of solitudinous species. Also, her other motions are much useful to the trees, plants, as well as for making flat cakes in the hand and for drying in the sun. Cow is the only animal that extracts its feeding after eating. Then afterwards, she will chew her own teeth which are situated in the front of the mouth. She is incessantly into the meadows on the grass. Her only attacking and defending organ are the horns, especially so when the cow has got a child. This is done by knowing her head, whereby she causes the weapons to be parallel to the ground of the earth and instantly proceed with great velocity forwards. She has got a tail also, but it's not like other animals. It has hairs on the other end. This is done to frighten away the flies which alight on its body, whereupon she will hit with it. The palms of her feet are soft upon the touch, so the grasses' heads would not get crushed. At the night time, it has posed by giving down on the head, and she shouts her eyes like her relatives, the horse does not do so. This is the cow.
So, we have the third and final activity of this lecture number 10 on verbal communication and course introduction, communication skills at the workplace. This is an activity in which our objective is to display that a communicatee often receives fewer symbols than originally or initially displayed by the communicator. If we go back to the first and the second lecture of this course, you remember that you have the communicator as the one who initiates the communication process, and you have the communicatee as the one who is the recipient. So, there is the sender and the receiver of the symbols of communication. This activity, I will once again reiterate, I will repeat. The objective of this short activity, we have timed it for 5 minutes, is that we will try to display or try to prove to you, in other words, that the communicatee, that is number 2, receives fewer symbols than that which are displayed by the communicator, which is number 1, the initiator of the communication process. So, I am going to display a slide, and I want you to read it very quickly. I want you to read it very quickly and count how many times the letter F appears in this sentence. Please jot down that number in your notebook. Don't shout the answer. Okay, we would like your responses. Let's say we move with Rajarshi.
It was 3. There are 3 F's.
Okay, 3. Then Ritika.
There are 4 F's.
Pooja.
2 F's.
Varsha.
2 F's.
2. Alalika.
3.
Akshay.
3 F's.
Then Tirtho.
5.
Anupam.
3.
3. Okay. Okay, and Ali? Okay. So you see that there has been a wide variation ranging from 2 to 4. I think somebody said 5 also? Yes, sir, 2 to 5. So this is a proof that of course we were given very short time to count the number of Fs, and also remember the variation in the answers can be credited to the fact that it is difficult to read or to do this kind of activity of counting a syllable or counting alphabet in a file or in a display, which is only for a few seconds or maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and you are supposed to locate that alphabet and also count it. The problem lies in the fact that all of them are in all caps. So as verbal communicators, or to be proficient in verbal communication, in case we desire to be excellent as verbal communicators, the point is that any of our presentations, especially the PowerPoint or other software you might employ for making professional presentations at the workplace, let's say Google Slides or Powtoon, Powtoon, or any of the other software which are available. There's one which is doing the rounds called Karishma. It's not Karishma Kapoor, but it's a presentation software. The point is that in any presentation software, when you're projecting something and want the other, the communicatee, to read it or to absorb it properly, we used mixed case, because when the display is in mixed case, we read the sentence or we read the phrase, but when the display is in all caps, we read word by word. It takes more time, and we complicate the matter in this activity by asking you to count the number of Fs. So point proved that the communicatee receives fewer symbols than the communicator has displayed, isn't it? Thank you.